Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, Abla, yo luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axel Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bësal mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.
Honorable Fatoumata Njie, representing Banjul South, is our guest for the whole hour this morning. Your questions and comments for Honorable Touma Njie, if we have any. Thanks for joining us. Touma, you haven't been on West Coast Radio for ages. I suppose you might have gone to our old building before finding out that we have moved. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Yes, Peter, I've not been in West Coast Radio. Actually, I've not been in any media for quite a while now because I've been trying to take care of my health for a while now. So I've been away from the media for some time. But fortunately, I knew that you've moved because you are not far from me. I always see your building from my bedroom. So I knew that you had moved, and I really like this new place.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully it will also drive us into a new Gambia soon, hopefully.
Inshallah, God willing. By the way, none of the 6 million government was dishing out to media houses came to us.
I was a bit carried away, and I've forgotten to greet my the listeners of West Coast Radio, because I know that you have quite a handful of listeners. Every Gambian looks forward to listening to Peter Gomez on Coffee Time. I am guilty as charged because I never miss any, and I enjoy your time with the people that we pay. We pay them for nothing, actually, because we pay them to con us. And I listen to them, especially my brother, the information minister. I'm just out of words.
She's just setting the tone for today's program. Thank you very much for choosing us. You haven't been on any media discussing politics or other issues that are of interest to you, like children's development and all of that. But how important is keeping abreast of the news every day to a politician, more so a member of parliament like yourself?
Thank you, Peter. It is very important. Not being in the media is me personally not being in the media, but not following the media obviously is a no-go for a politician like myself. I don't see myself as a politician. I see myself as a woman in development, because we have few elected female in the Gambia. So that's why there is a need for us to be on top of our game, to make sure that the rights of women are protected, women and children and the most vulnerable. Because when you say women in politics or women in leadership,
yes,
it is not about leading. It is about taking the bull by its horn and making sure that the right thing is done. When you see a woman in front, it means that the way forward is there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you look at globally, wherever women lead, there is hope. I'm not saying there is no hope when men lead, but when women lead, we lead with empathy. We lead making sure that the right thing is done. Looking at the situation in the Gambia now, I think it is very bleak. There is no hope. Whoever you speak with, tells you that ñun fuñ jëm.
We'll get into the details
Yeah,
of that
but-
later on. I just want to go back to you saying you're not a politician. You're a woman in development of the country.
Yeah.
When you dissociate yourself from politics, how will that impact our quest, to increase the participation of women in politics per se? Because we are all aiming for this 30% quota in the National Assembly. And people would look up to the Touma Njies and the, Fatmata Chams and, is it Fatmata Cham?
Fatu Cham.
Fatu Cham, okay. I don't Fatumata and
Fatu Cham and Ami
Ami
Koli,
Koli.
we are all elected
Yeah.
members. But when I say we are not looking at only 30% in women in
No,
politics.
it's you dissociating
We are-
yourself, one of
no,
the role
we are
models.
we are looking at women in development, women in leadership. So that's why I say
That includes
not
politics.
specifically politics. When you say politics, I don't think that in Gambia we practice politics. We practice politricks.
Oh.
Because most people that get into politics do not get into politics for the development of the country. They get into politics for the development, for self-development. And that is what I have seen. If you follow my status recently, I've identified the trend as a job-seeking season, where I see people speaking, not speaking to for the development of the country or for the interest of the nation, but speaking so that they can be seen, so that they can be remembered, so that they can be given position when the time arises for the position sharing, because that is how I see it. I see some so-called party leaders. I call them so-called party leaders because I don't see any members of their parties taking up the responsibility of speaking, telling us that our state of affairs in this country is next to none, which I think it's quite funny, because how can we say that the leadership in this country is uncomparable to any other leadership, that the bar is so high?
You're now making a veiled reference to Dr. Cisse.
No, not Dr. Cisse. Dr. Cisse did not say that.
Who then? My party?
No, Dr. Cisse's party has members that I can identify.
Okay.
So that cannot be Dr. Cisse.
Who are you talking about, my party? Or Henry Gomez?
I have seen so many CA members in this country, but I have never come across a person that says that I am a member of my party's party. I don't even know the name of my party's party, to be honest.
It's called the Gambia Moral Congress.
Okay, the Gambia Moral Congress. It's with one party member, I suppose. But what I'm saying...
What about Henry Gomez's party?
I don't even know Henry Gomez's party. To be honest, I know Henry Gomez as advisor to the president because of his so-called contributions in 2016. 2016 was
What do you mean so-called? I mean, he must have contributed. If he didn't contribute, he wouldn't.
I say so-called, and I mean it, because I have never come across any person that says I'm a member of Henry Gomez's party or my party's party. I give them respect because they have been claiming to be party leaders since Yahya Jammeh's time. And I think that is the more reason why they should have stood their grounds to make sure that we do not go back to what we fought against in 2016. And I see the trend that we are going back to what we fought against in 2016.
What are the signs that we are going back to what we fought against in 2016?
The signs that we are going back to 2016, or even, if I say worse, I don't mean in terms of humanitarian or humanitarian grounds, because I have never heard of President Adama Barrow.
So human rights abuses are no more.
Human rights abuses are not as bad as it was during Jammeh time, but the level of corruption, I think, is way more than it used to be during Jammeh time, because during Jammeh time it was a one-man show. It was
only Jammeh took.
Only Jammeh
Nobody
was
else dared
corrupt.
to take.
But right now it's like the power of grabbing. Everybody is grabbing left, right, and center. Every time I drive past Fajara, I feel embarrassed by the fact that the head of state can just take that amount of land that was owned by government and being reallocated. So I just laugh when I see it. So I'm like, okay, if precedent has been set...
Well, government insists it did it legally.
No. Government can do anything that they want to do because they can take the land and say that it's been reclaimed and reallocated to His Excellency the President. But then again, precedent has been set. If Yahya Jammeh can rule this country for 22 years.
His intention was to rule for 1 billion years.
1 billion, just like Adama Barrow's intention is for NPP to rule for thousands of years. So I think any leader would want to lead for hundreds of thousands of years. Not that leader particularly, but their party. But if you lead with intention, if you lead with gratitude, if you lead with dignity, if you lead the people to ensure that the people's dignity is guarded, I don't mind your party ruling us forever. But the thing is, you have to lead with the intention of leading us in the right direction.
But if he's not abusing us, no human rights abuses, it means our dignity, is safeguarded.
Our dignity is also safeguarded when we can afford our 3 meals a day. Our dignity is guarded when we don't have to beg to eat. Our dignity is guarded.
Are people begging to eat in this country?
People are begging to eat.
Really?
Because if we are struggling to make ends meet, when we can say that we are comfortable, let alone people that depend on us. So let us be real with what is happening in this country. I think that come 2026, if Barrow should win this election again, Gambia will not sink, but it will disappear. And we don't want the Gambia to disappear. We want a country where the next generation will inherit dignity. And that is what we are losing right now. If you look at people and listen to what people are saying, most of us have lost our dignity. And that is the highest level.
How? Is it by what?
That is the highest level of poverty. You can lose your wealth. You can lose everything. But once you lose your dignity, you have lost it all. When I hear people saying that, if we go back to times when, if you talk, you have Dr. Cisse here all the time.
Not all, every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Yes.
Dr. Cisse is a brother. He's my cousin. Our moms are second cousins. Every time Dr. Cisse says something in the media, I will send it to his WhatsApp to remind him that we are watching, to remind him of where he came from.
Where did he come from?
No. Dr. Cisse stood once and said that the president was not the right person for this country. And when he said it, he meant it. Because he said it with conviction. He said it from the bottom of his heart.
Actually, he admitted that. I put that to him on the program.
No, he admitted.
He admitted saying that.
He admitted saying it.
Yes.
Obviously, he would, because, you cannot say something and say that you did not say it.
Yes.
But when you say something...
But the reason for the change is when he had the opportunity to work with the man and came to know him firsthand.
What? Okay. I think
then he said everything he said about him was wrong.
I think you should ask him, what has changed?
Because now he works with the man. That's what has
now
changed.
He earns. Now he is paid. Now he is given all that security. Now he is given all those big cars to drive. Now he is given everything that he desired. Not what the Gambia is seeking, but what he personally is benefiting from. With all due respect, if I was given a ministerial position, because we are all Gambians, as a Gambian, if you are offered a ministerial position, you will take it, of course. But you walk with your conviction. You walk with your conscience. I was expecting Dr. Ismaila Cisse to take the ministerial position and try to change the mentality of how cabinet is run. Because for me, honestly...
Well, he can't do that. He's just Minister of Information.
Minister of Information is the voice of the cabinet.
Yeah, you just regurgitate what is fed you.
No. You can also rewrite what is fed to you and feed it to them. Because I am one out of 53 elected members of Parliament. I cannot change anything in Parliament with one vote. But my voice will be heard, because my voice represents who I am. Even if it's only me voting against something, voting with my conscience, I will still do. When we bring something in the Parliament, even if it's just myself that is going to vote against it, I will still vote against it, knowing that my vote will not change anything, but I will vote with my conscience, because at the end of the day, When I lose my conscience, I would have lost everything. I can lose anything in this world, even this dress I am wearing, and walk naked. But if I walk with my conscience, I will be walking.
Yeah. Okay. On this issue of Dr. Cisse Cheney, but even in the cabinet, I'm sure even in the National Assembly, you have a hierarchy. And I may be wrong, but I think Minister of Information is so far down the rungs of power you would have thought that the Vice President, the late Vice President, for instance, when he organized that meeting at the Sarada Keraba Jawara, that famous meeting, where his quotes are still being thrown around, where he dared, to say, listen, we are not doing what we've been appointed to do. We are not doing what the president was voted into power to do, and he's relied upon us by appointing us to help him do that. You think that the vice president or the minister of finance or the minister of foreign affairs, these are usually thought to be the senior positions in cabinet after the president.
May his soul continue to rest in the highest Jannah, especially
Amen.
In this day of Hajj. We pray for him. But Peter, when you say hierarchy in cabinet, we have the president, we have the vice president, and we have ministers.
Yes.
In our laws, we don't have hierarchy of ministers. We have a cabinet with ministers. So as far as I know, looking at the constitution, we don't have any hierarchy. Each member of cabinet has a portfolio. The foreign affairs minister has a portfolio of minister of foreign affairs and Gambians abroad. The minister of information has the portfolio of minister of information. So when it comes to information, it is the Minister of Information that should be dealing with information.
Which he is doing.
He is doing.
Yes.
But what information is he feeding us? He is feeding us with information that we do not need, false information, I would say.
Oh.
Because we need to be told what is happening in the country. We need to be told how His Excellency came up with, I saw it in the media, that the newly built office was built with $2 million. Where on earth?
Which newly built office?
The newly regional whatever office.
You mean the NPP?
The NPP
okay.
office. So I saw it in the media. I'm not saying it.
$2 million?
That's what I
Goodness
saw
me,
in the media.
That's
so
over $130 million.
So if Ismail Cisse, as the Minister of Information, would come.
But that's political news. That's not his business to be sharing with people. He's not part of NPP.
Come on.
He's CA, isn't he?
All the ministers are part of NPP. Let us be honest.
Yeah, I remember Silla said that when NPP,
all the ministers,
when NPP was just being formed.
Exactly.
I asked him the question categorically.
All the ministers are part of NPP. So that is, I wouldn't even mince my word by saying that they are not. But the minister that really shocked me as being part of NPP is the Justice Minister, because we need justice in this country. What is wearing an ashobi means? Wearing an ashobi means...
He wore an ashobi?
Obviously, he wore an ashobi. An ashobi, I don't know, ashobi or ashobi, whatever we call it.
Yeah,
but a minister, we have Minister of Justice and the Attorney General. The Attorney General should be the legal advisor of the President on legal issues. Minister of Justice is linked with the Attorney General. They are two separate positions. But let me tell you something. Justice should be for everybody. When you look at the Minister of Justice, we should have that confidence that whatever happens, because in our Constitution, before certain criminal procedures are done, they must have the advice of the Minister of Justice for it to go ahead. If we do not have that confidence on the Minister of Justice, mind you, he's my younger brother, because the father and my family are very close.
Listen, we're all related here.
We are all related, but
just on Sunday, let me tell you something. Just on Sunday, the First Lady, Fatou Barbaro, stood up and said in front of thousands of Catholics that he is a Gomez. So now when I talk about Fatou Barbaro, I will say Fatou Barbaro Gomez.
You know that is all about politics. She can tell us where on earth she got the Gomez from, because I can say that she is not a Gomez.
From her adopted father, the late father Peter Gomez.
Okay, no problem. No problem. She can say anything she wants. She's my daughter anyway.
Yeah, but just going back to this Attorney General and Minister of Justice thing.
No, what I mean is that as the justice should be across the board for everybody. Because if we go, I'm glad that I did not see the Attorney General in that, because that would have been just disastrous.
If you had seen, you did not see him in Ashobi?
In Ashobi, yes.
So you only heard that he was in Ashobi at somewhere.
No. If I had seen him or heard about it, I would have been worried, because the judiciary is our last resort.
Oh, you mean the Chief Justice?
The Chief Justice.
Oh, okay, no.
The
Okay.
Chief Justice.
Okay.
If I had seen him, I would have been worried and scared
Okay.
for us in this country. But thank God I did not see him. But to go back to the situation in
Come
this
on.
country.
The Chief Justice is mature enough, is experienced enough to know
Yeah.
that, you
and
know.
that's why I said I am glad. Because otherwise we would have been doomed. Like I said,
you'd have thought that the judiciary also is compromised.
I don't want to say that, and I wouldn't want to.
No,
think
if
of
you
that.
had seen him in Ashobi.
If I had seen him, I would have been so worried.
Okay.
I would have been worried, like
Why?
every Gambian would have been, because we think that the judiciary should be independent, because the assembly is too political. The cabinet
Assembly is meant to be political.
Exactly, that's why I said.
meant to be, I mean,
but when we at the assembly, outside, we should be political, because politics took us into the assembly. But when we are in the assembly, the reason we are called National Assembly members is to think of national interest first. But the fact that Barrow polluted the assembly by one, bringing in Sidi Njie 1, bringing in Fabakary Tombong 2, bringing in a member that was rejected by the people 3.
is that your co-female MP?
It's a fact that it's happened. He has a right to nominate anybody as of the Constitution. But when you nominate with your conscience. Nominate bearing in mind what the people would appreciate. You understand? Because Barrow was voted by the people, and every day I wake up, I am grateful that I did not vote for Barrow in 2021. And I am grateful because my conscience wouldn't have allowed me for what is happening. I love Gambia.
He loves Gambia more, perhaps.
I don't think he loves Gambia. If Barrow had loved Gambia, Barrow would have eaten humble pie and stepped aside in 2026. He does not love Gambia. We are hoping that he will. He does not love Gambia. Barrow Barrow stood on national TV and he said he cannot. So he was depending on people to support him.
He learned on the job.
You cannot learn on this job. This is not kindergarten where you can go and learn. If he had learned, he did not learn anything, or he did not learn the good things because he wasn't taught well. With all due respect, he's our president until 2026, but I am begging for Gambians not to vote for him in 2026 because we should love Gambia first. Anybody that is joining Barrow at this point is not joining Barrow because they love the Gambia. They are joining Barrow because they want to have a piece of the cake.
You are asking us to risk the good work that Barrow has started by building roads, bridges, and just bring in somebody else.
So, good work. Jammeh built roads. Jammeh built bridges. Jammeh was, Barrow inherited Jammeh, and he continued. So whoever should come, we are not risking anything. It's just a continuation. You know, leadership should be continued. Where you stop, somebody else should come and do. So that is why term limits are also very important, so that you can set yourself targets to say, within these 10 years, this is what I am going to do. If you cannot do it beyond that, within that 10 years, then it means that you cannot do it. We thank him for everything that he has done. But if you remember, in 1999, there was no coastal road beyond Senegambia. Jammeh did that. Barrow did the Hakala. So someone else can come and do something else. Maybe if someone else comes.
Barrow also did URR.
Yeah.
Lots of roads in the...
No. Jammeh also did some roads. Jammeh built schools. You know, I was going on tour last month. And all of the schools that I saw, 1995, 1996, it kept me thinking, Jammeh has also done something.
Of course he has.
Yeah, exactly. They have all done their part. Sadauda did his part. He did his part. He started with the economic recovery plan. Unfortunately, it did not continue. Jammeh came in, they stopped that. That would have taken us further than we are at this moment. That's why we need succession. We need continuation. If we talk to Barrow now, right now, who is he grooming for succession? I don't see anybody. Jawara also failed in grooming. No, hang on. Jawara also failed in grooming succession. Jammeh failed in grooming for succession. That is why we are where we are today. No continuation of the plan. If you sit in that seat, always have in mind that I shall be going someday. What I start is not about me. It should be about the Gambia. Barrow built the roads for what? The roads should be built so that they can open viability for businesses, for investments, for everything. You build that and then you stop. You do not think of all those things. Those people living in these provinces where these roads are built, before they get to their homes, they have to struggle because there are no access roads to go inside those villages. I go to Basse, I go to the provinces all the time.
You have just validated.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Kan lay waxal?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
Barrow's reason for running in 2026, because he told us that he cannot leave now because the party is too young. The party is too new to be left, with a presidential candidate other than himself, to contest in 2026.
And that is the more reason why Gambians should not trust Barrow in 2026, because only thing that Barrow is thinking of is not about continuing the building process of this country, but the building process of his party. A party, I do not want to say this, a party with people that we do not trust as that I do not trust as Gambians. If Barrow in 2021 to win an elections would go and have an alliance with the APRC so that he can win, Barrow that in 2026 fought so hard, went across the country, 2016, to remove the APRC, yet going back within 5 years, thinking that without them he cannot make it, then Barrow is not worth voting for.
Come on, you know this more than me. In politics, there are no permanent
There are no permanent enemies, but there you should guard your integrity. You should guard your integrity with your life. You should guard your beliefs, your principles. In 2026 then, in 2016 then, why did we remove Jammeh? Just to go back in 2021 to say that without his party, we cannot move forward. Then we could have progressed with APRC in 2016. So you know what? Your word. I always say it. I am not rich. I am not beautiful. I am not anything.
Well, you are beautiful. I'm not sure about your riches.
But my pride, my principles are my riches. My dignity is what I guard with all my might, with all my heart. When I was going for the elections in 2022, people were telling me, you are not going to win if you do not join NPP. I said, if I join NPP and win my election...
Did NPP want you?
No. If I join NPP and win my elections, I would have lost everything. I would have lost myself. I would have gone to Parliament and not be me. Look at me. I took the risk. I went back. I won my elections and I won my dignity. I would have rather gone and lost as an independent, and I would have been happier than winning on the NPP.
Why do you so loathe NPP?
I don't loathe NPP. I'm a principled person.
So what's wrong with the NPP?
They don't have principles.
Just because they went to an alliance with APRC?
No, because Barrow was elected as an independent candidate in 2016. Barrow could have waited. I would have voted for Barrow as an independent in 2022. I was one of the first people when they said 3 years. I said no, the Constitution says 5 years. And I would have stood with Barrow for 5 years. I would have stood with Barrow for another 5 years. If Barrow had just maintained his dignity and stood as an independent, stood for another 5 years, billahi wallah, I would have supported Barrow as an independent candidate to continue the work that he has started, but he got too greedy.
Oh dear. Honorable Fatoumata Njie is our guest this morning. What are your plans about Mecca?
Mecca is a calling. It's not about being able to afford it, but for me going to Mecca, I will want to pay for myself. I don't want anybody taking me to Mecca. My hard-earned money should take me to Mecca, or my inherited money from my father can take me to Mecca, but no, but I don't want anybody taking me to Mecca, because I believe that I should be taking people to Mecca, not people taking me to Mecca.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about Mecca, because covered in white sheets and chanting, "Here I am, O Allah, here I am," over 2 million Muslims from around the world are heading to Mina as this year's Hajj begins. Among them are 2,000 Gambian pilgrims who set out for the tent city last night on board buses. And in one of those buses is our special correspondent, Alhaji Bunja Kebe.
2,000 Gambian pilgrims left Mecca for Minna on the 3rd of June 2025 for the Hajj. Minna is the largest city of tents, more than 100,000 tents, accommodating millions of pilgrims. The Gambian pilgrims were transported from their hotel called Nawasi Towers in Mecca and are now resting before moving to Arafat on the 9th day of Islamic lunar calendar and Muzdalifah. Mount Arafah is the place where the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, delivered his final sermon, that's the khutbah, to his Sahabas who accompanied him towards the end of his life. Standing at Mount Arafah is a day of immense spiritual significance, considered the pinnacle of Hajj pilgrim. It is also narrated that Adam and Hawa met at the mountain upon descending from heaven to earth. It's a day of profound spiritual reflection, supplications, and seeking forgiveness. Pilgrims spend the day standing in prayers, and for Muslims who are not performing the Hajj, it's a day of fasting and increased devotion. All of the Gambian pilgrims comprising of the young, old and sick are present here in Minna, safely in preparing for the Hajj. It's also believed that Mount Arafah, climax of the Hajj, after the Arafat, even Mecca, that was closed to visitors, is now open. If you miss Arafah, you miss the Hajj. Alhaji Bunja Kebe, reporting for Coffee Time from Minna, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
He's a great man, Alhaji Bunja. Now, cracks appeared in the Barrow administration's diplomatic team when the current ambassador to Turkey, Alkali Conte, launched a scathing attack on his boss and foreign minister, Mamadou Tangara, as you will have heard on the program on Monday. Well, yesterday, the Minister of Information promised the matter will be dealt with without specifying how. And shortly, I'll be asking what Touma makes of this unprecedented episode. But I want to bring you first the thoughts of Demba Ali Jawo, journalist, author, and former information minister. Writing from his holiday destination in the U.S., DA says, the statements attributed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, Dr. Mamadou Tangara, during his recent appearance at the Mansakunda Forum, seem to have opened an unprecedented can of worms on the level of indiscipline within the Foreign Service. While many people agreed with some of the things that Dr. Tangara said about the many challenges facing our Foreign Service, others laid the blame for most of those problems squarely at his doorstep. As Foreign Minister and head of the diplomatic service, Dr. Tangara should have the final say as to who is to be posted to any diplomatic position. Therefore, the buck stops at his desk, and he cannot pass the blame for whatever goes wrong in the Foreign Service onto anyone else. If he, for instance, allows President Adama Barrow to continue to use the Foreign Service as a dumping ground, with failed politicians being compensated with diplomatic postings without any rudimentary training on diplomatic protocol, And if he lacks the courage to tell his boss the truth, then he should accept responsibility for whatever goes wrong under his watch. We have all been witness to several embarrassing incidences that have happened since the coming to power of the Barrow administration. And instead of taking appropriate disciplinary action against the culprits, many of them were simply recalled and redeployed to other places. Examples of such embarrassing situations include an incident at a Moroccan embassy where the ambassador had physical confrontation with one of the staff members. Similar incidences happened in several other diplomatic missions, including Russia, Guinea-Bissau, Cuba, and Mauritania. And a majority of those involved were simply recalled and redeployed to other places, apparently because of their connection to the NPP, the National People's Party. However, what seems to have flabbergasted everyone was the unprecedented rebuttal of Dr. Tangara for the comments he made regarding the political appointees by no less a person than the Gambian ambassador to Turkey, Alkali Conte. It came as a complete surprise to many Gambians that a serving diplomat would not only muster the courage to confront his boss in public, but even go as far as to accuse him of a monumental leadership failure. He also went on to call Dr. Tangara's attention to certain things that he should have done but failed to do, such as failing to take the necessary action to prevent many of the embarrassing incidents in foreign missions before they happened. The blame squarely falls on your head, and you must not run away from it, Conte said. He went on to remind Dr. Tangara of an incident that took place in the streets of New York City when he, Dr. Tangara, exchanged blows with a peaceful demonstrator while he was the Gambia's permanent representative at the UN. He also blamed Dr. Tangara for several other things, including failure to call a meeting of the ambassadors and high commissioners to discuss pertinent issues. Most Gambians are wondering what led to this apparent level of insubordination by Ambassador Conte against his own boss. Is it a reflection of the type of governance prevailing in this country when members of the NPP have become so arrogant that they feel that they are untouchable and they can behave anyhow they like with no consequences? In conclusion, DA says, it is indeed quite hard to see how both Minister Tangara and Ambassador Conte can continue with business as usual in their respective positions. We would expect the government to take appropriate measures to instill some discipline within the Foreign Service, because this type of relationship between the minister and his diplomats is quite untenable. And as I said, those are the thoughts of Demba Ali Jawo, journalist, author, former minister. You would think, Touma, that DA would know what he's saying, having been a minister, of Barrow himself before.
Yeah, obviously he would know what he's saying, and he's a person with conscience, I would say. I have high respect for DA. Likewise, I would say same for Dr. Tangara. I have very high regard for Dr. Tangara, because for me personally, it's what you can do. That is how I judge you, whether you served under Njie or whether you served under Sadauda or whether you served under Barrow. It is the person that I see, and I see Tangara as a very respectable person, and for him to come out and say such is quite true. And because it was coming from within, the way Tangara said it, you could tell that he was frustrated. I have seen some ministers that know what they are doing. There are certain members of the cabinet that truly deserve to be in cabinet because of their knowledge of what they are. Because in our constitution, it is stated that ministers should have the capability to serve in the positions that they are given. But we do not. We see that most ministers are there because of politics.
Yeah, but
Tangara,
is capability only knowledge?
His capability, to be a foreign affairs minister, you need to have the capability, you need to have the knowledge.
And my question is capability only knowledge?
No,
yes,
but
he has the knowledge.
He has the knowledge,
yes.
He has the capability. But maybe he does not have the courage to advise the president and say no to what the president says, because what he says is quite true. I have seen some people in the diplomatic corps.
People like who?
I have seen some people that contested elections, lost, and were sent to diplomatic missions as reward.
We've seen that.
And those people, maybe they might be capable, because I'm not saying they are not capable, but what was the reason? Because we have been in this country. I heard you the last
And that is
time.
the argument of Alkali Conte. It's not all these political appointees.
It is true. I'm not saying what he's saying is wrong.
Yeah.
Alkali Conte is also a decent person. So he will not just come and say, Alkali Conte, I would say if he's sent on a diplomatic mission, he also deserves it. Not only does he have the capability, he also has the networking and the connections. That is all part of the capability of being an ambassador. It shouldn't just be reward. There are so many things. Maybe they can all revisit what they have said. Maybe Tangara would sit in his quiet moment, because you cannot throw stones at everybody and give them the same value. Because some of them, I have known some of my colleagues that lost their elections. And I think having worked with them for 5 years at the parliament also gives them some sort of exposure that they can also serve in that capacity. Maybe they are seen as politicians first, but maybe their capability also can give them that. But before, from the Gambia that I grew up from, ambassadorial positions were so respected. If you say this is an ambassador, because you are seen as Gambia in those countries. So when you do any mishap, it is the country that you are putting in disregard, in disrespect. And from what we have seen...
Tangara should know that.
Tangara should know
so
that.
when people mess up outside, drag the name of the country in the mud...
Dragging the name of the country. And
if he had the capability you are advocating, if the president wants to send that person elsewhere...
He can say no. But
exactly.
it is, at the end of the day, it is the final say lies with the president. Sometimes, ministers would not even know. They would just be given names. I'm sending these people. President sometimes would just sit and just do things without even thinking.
Yeah, but those people, who are his advisors, the ministers are advisors to the president.
Ministers are advisors
should
to
be
the
able
president.
to go to him and say, Mr.
Why
President,
I say
you cannot do this.
You cannot do this. But at the end of the day, they are also safeguarding their jobs. That is why I say we need strong institutions. We need a strong parliament. Hang on. We need a strong parliament. We need a parliament that before ministers should be vetted before they go. And before they are sacked, they should send the reasons to Parliament for Parliament to approve. If we have had that...
Well, the 2024 draft constitution that you people are considering
if
we have
had that, ministers would have been firm enough to challenge the president and tell him that what you are doing is not correct. Yes. But without that, the bulk of the game ends with the president. He is the one that appoints. He is the one that sacks. He is the one that sends to any diplomatic mission.
So
I do not blame Tangara. I blame His Excellency President Adama Barrow for all the failures in this country. He appoints for reward.
So Tangara was right to lash out at political appointees.
To lash out at political appointees, but not every political appointee is a failure in our diplomatic mission. Some of them are doing excellent.
Okay, Touma, I think you need 10 hours. I'm looking at the clock. We have only 5 more minutes because the business show will start dead on 9 o'clock. What else would you like to address that we haven't touched on?
What we haven't touched on, I would advise Gambians to look before they leap. Because it's not like the Olaf says, good.
That's true.
People are running helter-skelter. And I keep saying it. Let us be guided by our conscience. Let us think of the next generation of Gambians that are coming. When we go tomorrow, let us write how we want to be remembered today. We have seen, we have heard, and we continue to watch. I'm appealing to all Gambians to think before they leap, to look before they leap. Because elections is coming. It is not about positions. Put it. I don't think that we are going in the right directions. We need to reconsider, and I'm calling on opposition party leaders to come together and think of Gambia. Let us remove that ego clothing that we wear and think of Gambia first. I wouldn't mind. I have heard an opposition party leader saying that he's calling for coalition. I applaud him.
Is that Hussein Odabo?
No. I think you had Esafal who said, but I disagree when he said that he's been calling for it. Because In 2021 elections,
Yes.
I'm saying it for the first time, and he maybe he's listening, and if he's saying it's not true, then let him come out. I approached him. I approached many, all actually the opposition parties, and asked them to come together to remove Barrow. And if any of them denies that, let them come out and
Yeah,
say.
but what was his response? What was Esambai Fal's response?
I don't reveal personal discussions. If he wants to reveal what he said, he can come to you and reveal it himself. I respect.
Well, you started it, so
No,
I'm
saying that I tried to work on that because we saw what the country was going into, and Barrow winning another elections would have been like we have seen. It's another crisis in our nation, and if he wins in 2026, it will be worse. The country will not only sink, but it will disappear. So I am appealing to all political parties to think, sit on a round table. There should be no head. Sit on a round table. Because even a political party, the smallest political party, is needed. We cannot say I'm the biggest political party, yet have not won any elections yet. So we have to come together for the interest of the nation.
Why am I thinking you're attacking UDP there?
I will never attack UDP. I have all due respect for them. I'm just giving an example.
But the example is UDP, right?
No, I'm saying they happen to be the biggest political. I'm giving a scenario.
But they haven't won an election yet.
I'm giving because even if you are a big political party and have not won elections, it means that you need to work with other parties. That is what I mean. I'm not saying UDP. Okay. I'm saying even if you are the biggest, you need other parties to win an election because you have not won an election. We still saw Njie won how many elections?
Well,
and we've seen Barrow won an election because 2016 was a
coalition.
Yeah. So Barrow has only won one election, and we don't want him to win an election again. So I'm appealing to all political parties to come together, and if the need be, we will go around again and make sure that they all come together. I don't have any interest because I don't want any cabinet position. I am done.
You just said here that as a Gambian, if you are called upon to become a minister...
No, I said if a Gambian is called upon to be a minister, then they should. But what I'm saying...
Well, you're a Gambian.
No, my job is not to be a minister. My job is to make sure that
What if you are called upon to become a minister as a Gambian?
That can be thought of at the time when it happens. But what I'm saying is bringing them together doesn't mean that I'm looking for any position.
Okay, that's clear.
I am looking for the interest of this country because I want the Gambia to progress. This is the only place we have. We have Gambia. This is where our forefathers, our fathers, and everybody, my dad loved this country. And I'm just following.
For those who do not know, by the way, Alhaji Usainu Njie.
I'm just following his footsteps for the love of country. That's all. Yeah.
Touma, thanks for coming. It's a pity. There's a lot I would have wanted us to discuss. Unfortunately, we couldn't this morning. Touma, thanks for coming. That's Honorable Fatoumata Njie representing Banjul South in the National Assembly.
Njie Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Njie Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de de. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fay.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bisul mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.